Now, if you're working towards the press handstand, one of the hardest things to condition, understand, and just make better or get in the right place is this start position. Understanding where the hip needs to be and then what you need to do to get the hip into position. It's common that people have the flexibility, but when they set up and try and go into the press, they look like this. So this part of the hip is too far back relative to the hands. So as soon as I get this part of the hip on top of the hands there, then my feet can become light and then I can go up to handstand. But getting it there or understanding how to condition it, how to stretch, how to build the conditioning to hang out in that point is really, really important. So that's what I'm going to go through today. So first of all, we need to assess ourselves and see how close that hip is to the palm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this line. I'm going to put my palms against the line there. I'm going to go up into this position, so as close as I can get to it. And then I'm going to get somebody to show me where my hip is, so the hip crease relative to this line. I'm going to mark it with this marker. Now, I don't have anyone with me today. I'm lonely. So in that position, I know, because I can float, that I can get mine to be there, but let's say it's back there when I measure it, so I'm at that point. So what I need to improve on is that much distance to get the float. So if I'm there, and then these exercises that I'm about to show you should allow you to get to there, and then I can lift. So once you've made your measurement, you'll know what your distance is and the thing you need to work on. Now remember, there's two ways that we can improve on this. We can use strength, or we could use flexibility, and obviously we could do a bit of both. So flexibility would basically being able to compress and make yourself squished and get the hip on top, so be flexible. Or if I'm here, my hip is back here, somewhere my hands are here, I could use strength. So now look, I'm going to take the shoulders, so planche the shoulders beyond the hands, but I can still press there. But I'm using way more strength because I'm going into more of a planche, lower, stronger position. Now I recommend that everyone works on their planche strength, but the downside with the planche strength is it does take time. Now obviously it depends on you, but most people, we can get a quicker result with flexibility. So let's focus on that first. So once you've taken your measurement, let's do a stretch and then we'll come back and remeasure the position. So all I'm going to do is a standard forward fold. So I'm going to lock the knees backwards, I'm going to cross the arms, and then I'm going to take the elbows towards the floor. If I'm comfortable here, I'm going to do some little bounces. I'm trying to lengthen the spine as best I can, lock the knees backwards. If you are very, very tight in this position, you probably want to start off with more of like a good morning position like this, keeping the back flat. We need to work on single leg hamstrings. So the cool thing with the forward fold is very measurable. We can look at the distance between our elbow to the floor. We can measure it. We can put something there. We can put a yoga block there as a target. And we really just focus on lengthening the spine, trying to close this gap as much as possible. If you look like this and you've got a bigger gap, that's obviously showing you've got potential to close that gap and make things happen much easier. Once you've done that, go back and retest, see how close you are to the position. Remember, hold for about 5 seconds, show control there, remeasure, even see if you can get a little bit of float. Next, we can be a little bit more aggressive with that forward fold position. So I'm going to pin myself between the wall and my legs. So bend the arms to get in. No, not the arms, the legs. Pull yourself in from the side. Hold on to the legs. Straighten the legs. Now you can see I'm much deeper now in this forward fold position. And this is a little bit more aggressive. So obviously be careful if you have any back issues or your hamstrings get unhappy in this position. But it should be a really good stretch for the hamstrings and the calves and really help to close that compression, the distance between the torso and the legs. Same thing, set back up, remeasure, see what happens, see if the magic happens. Next we'll go Jefferson curl. So this looks more at spinal articulation plus the hamstrings plus the calves. So to start with, we take chin to chest, we roll down through the spine. So I'm trying to articulate and round each segment of the spine bit by bit. Notice the knees are soft as well. So I've gone through my upper back, now I'm going through my mid back, and then the hard one for me through my low back. Then as I get past the low back, I'm locking the knees backwards and I'm going to go as deep as I can here. So the step like this is really cool because I can try and reach to the floor. So me, cold, I can get pretty comfortably fingertips to the floor. I know where I'm at. Once I get a little bit more stretched, I can get knuckles to the fingers, knuckles to the floor. And then I'm just going to reverse that back up, come back to the top. Now we can increase the intensity with that one by adding a load. So imagine I've got a barbell or a dumbbell and I roll down, same deal. But now there's going to be a little bit more intensity at the bottom because I've got a weight. Again, if you're comfortable there, you could add in a few little bounces, but obviously just go on your body and on how that feels, and then reverse it back up, bend the knees, go through the spine. Then we can do the remeasure again, same thing, see if the magic happens. Next, I'm going to go into straddle good morning. So I'm standing about this width apart, so feet just a little bit wider than shoulder width. I'm going to drop the hip backwards as I come down, so hip backwards. So I'm loading backwards. I can feel a stretch in the hamstrings there. And then I'm going to come forwards, up onto tiptoes, and come back again. Stand all the way back up. Good morning again. Up, forwards, back again. So good repetitions and a good hold. 2-3 seconds there. Come back again. Next, I'm going to go into straddle hops. So this conditions more the upper back area to take all of the load. So imagine at the moment I've got all of the loads in my legs. I want to get my upper back to do the work. So I'm going to go up onto tiptoes, float the feet forwards. Up onto tiptoes, float the feet forwards. Now this one you can do backwards, so you can go up to that position, push the feet up and back. I prefer the forward movement, but the back one has some benefits as well. Next, let's actually use the handstand press or the eccentric to find the position. So I'm going to come down as slow as I can, all the way down, finish on tiptoes and trying to hold. So I'm going really slow, hold in that position for as long as I can. If you struggle freestanding, do the same thing up against the wall. So butt, low back, mid back, upper back rolls down the wall, hold, tippy toes touch, hold, hold, hold. If you want to work more of the strength stuff, you want to be looking at things like this. So going forwards into your planched position. So spending time here around the back. You could go into full planche leans. We could obviously train the tuck planche and planche variations. You could do eccentric planche presses. So coming down from a handstand, purposely rounding the upper back and planching the shoulders forwards. Just to build that strength in that shoulder forward position. Now obviously all those drills are really good because they're very specific to the press. Now you have to be realistic. If you look like this or like this, you're going to need to isolate and do a lot more flexibility work before you actually get a clean press. You probably could work towards things like a planche press if you're particularly strong, but I would just be hitting your normal flexibility work. So quads, hip flexors, glutes, hamstrings, calves, doing all of that as a full package as you work on your handstands, as you work on your eccentric presses. And then keep coming back and checking this. If you're very, very close though, some of those drills hopefully should get you even closer or even across the line. Let me know down in the comments where you are in your journey towards the press. How far is your hip away from the palms? I'll link up here my longer press handstand tutorial that goes into more variations and covers the whole pathway of the press. Thumbs up and subscribe would be appreciated, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks guys.